Hello and welcome. So as you guys know, we already have a course running on Udemy. The course is Mastering EPLAN. So if ever you want to be part of the moving train, you are able to register for the course or enroll for the course. The link for the course is in the description. So just click on the link and it will direct you to Udemy. And from there, you are able to register or enroll for the course. So moving right along. Now, another question which we received was with regards to connection numbering. So the student wanted to know why we didn't include connection numbering. I did not include connection numbering because it can become very confusing for a lot of people because there are different ways in which you can actually display your connection numbering. And also the other reason is that it can actually cause your schematics to be a little bit cluttered if you do not do it correctly. So therefore, I'm going to do this video and I'm going to show the student how you can actually be able to do connection numbering inside EPLAN. So inside EPLAN, there is a default scheme. I'm going to show you guys with using the default scheme. And then I'm also going to create a default, or I'm going to actually copy the default scheme and create a new scheme. So therefore, to create it or to include it inside your schematic, what you can do is that it is very important that you select your project. So you can select your project because we want to have the connection numbering inside the whole project. So we want to place definition points and enter designations. So therefore, I'm going to select my whole project because I want to actually affect the whole project. And then after that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to connections. And right here underneath connections, you can see here we have this group command called connections. And here we will actually place our definition points. So first thing, you need to place your definition points. And after that, you need to enter your designation. So we will first do the definition points. We'll enter that by clicking right here. And as you can see inside EPLAN, this is called settings, but in actual fact, this default, it's actually called a scheme. So right here, you can see there are actually different ones that do exist. The one, that's the first one, which is called arm_reach_robots. That's the one I have created for myself. So therefore, if ever you create a new one as well, you will be able to see it right here underneath these schemes that appear right here. So at the moment, we have the default one. I'm going to start off things with showing the default one, and then I'll move on to show the one that we will create together by copying the default one. So I'm going to have the default one selected, and after that, I'm going to say apply to the entire project. So I'm going to check that checkbox to say apply to the entire project, and after that, I'm going to say okay to that. And once I've said okay to that, what you will see inside your schematic, you will be able to see all these question marks coming up like this. So it's fine if you do see the question marks. It is important that you do see them. So it is fine to see them inside your schematics. So you will see all these question marks appearing right here. You can see all of them appearing right here. They do apply all over the project inside your page schematics. So inside the schematics, you can see they do apply right here and all that. But I actually want to look at page 150. So I want to actually look at page 150 because this is quite interesting. This is where a lot of information does appear. So once you have it like this, what you can do now is that you can go underneath, select your project again. You need to select your project. You can see if I select the page or if I select a different one, you would see sometimes it does go gray right here. So it does go gray like that. So it is important that you actually select your project. And after that, I'll actually go to enter designation. So now I'm going to actually overwrite these question marks. So you can see right now it says question marks. So I'm going to overwrite these question marks and actually display more information with regards to the connection points and placement and enter designation. So I'm going to enter the designation by clicking there. And after that, you can see we still have this scheme, which is the default scheme. So you can see this is the default scheme. This is the details the default scheme has. And after that, I'm going to say okay. So I'm going to click OK just to show you guys how it looks like. So therefore, once you click OK, you can see this preview window does pop up. So it previews the results. So it actually shows you guys that this is currently what you have. You can see those question marks. This is currently what you have inside your schematic. This is the new connection designation. So it will start from 001. So it's incrementing from 001. And you can see it increments all the way to 279. So it increments all the way to 279. So basically it means that we have 279 connections inside this project. So therefore, after that, I'm going to say okay to that. and therefore you will see now this is how it actually comes about. So this is how it comes about. You can see this is connection number 150, 151, 153, because 152 is there. So you can see it all comes up like that. So you can see it all comes in like that. You can see this one, it's 112, because it's 112 because we do have other schematic pages that do exist inside this local designation or inside this area. So you can see we have number 17 existing right there. We have number 3. So I'm not sure where is number 1, but we do have number 3 there, number 11 and all that. You do have number 5. You can see that's number 2 right there. So you can see we have different ones and all that. So I'm going to go back to this page because this is the page of interest. So therefore, we have that, and you can see 150, 151, 149, and so forth. So now, looking at it like this, it does make a little bit of sense, but for me, it's not fully complete. It does not give me the full details, and therefore, I do not want my panel guys in the panel shop to be numbering their connection, to be numbering it as 146. So there are different ways to do this. There are different ways to represent this number. You can represent it as the connection or as the DT of this device, which is maybe the source or maybe the target and so forth. So you are able to do it in various ways. So with me, my goal will be to see which device the wire comes from and to which device is the wire going. So that's my goal. I want to represent where the wire comes from and which device the wire is going to. So I'm going to show the source and the target. So there are various ways, just like I mentioned. There are many ways that you can actually represent it. You can represent it according to the page, column, and also according to whether it's an L1, L2, L3. You can actually display it in various ways. So I'm going to actually display it with regards to the device, from where it's coming from, and to the device to where it's going to, and also with regards to the connection point. So it can be going to this device, but where in this device is actually going to. Is it connecting at number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5? That's what I actually want to represent as well. So I don't want to represent just the device, but I also want to represent the connection. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to create a new scheme to be able to represent such information. So therefore, to create a new scheme, we're going to go back to enter designation. First, what I will do, I'll click my project inside my page navigators. Then I'm going to go to where it says enter designation. So I'm going to click there where it says enter designation. And right now you can see this is the default scheme. So that's the default scheme. What I want to do is that I want to actually copy the default scheme. You are able to create a totally new scheme. But what I'm going to do to make things easier for us, I'm actually going to copy the currently existing default scheme. So to copy it, first thing I need to click on these 3 dots. So I'll click on these 3 dots. And after clicking on these 3 dots, you can see we have actually various tabs that do exist right here. So I'll speak about the various tabs that do exist right here. The first tab is filter. So the filter one, it's just with regards to whether you're looking at electrical devices, you're looking at mechanical, you're looking at pneumatic. So therefore, whatever that you select or whatever that you check, you will be actually looking at that, and whatever that you unselect or uncheck, you won't be looking at that. So for me, you can see I have everything checked right here. And after that, you can see right here, we have things like connection general. That's the one that I have checked, and wires. And also you have other things as well, like cable, pipes, and all that. I'm actually going to have only the connection and general checked. So that's the one I'm going to have. And after that, you can see underneath placement, you can actually change the symbol right here. You can see it's actually appearing right here. You can change it maybe to just be nothing showed or just a dot. By just clicking on those 3 dots, you are able to change it. So I can just click on those 3 dots and show you guys. You are able to change it to whether you want it to be nothing showed, to be this one, to be that one, to be something else. You are able to select whatever that you want to be shown. So therefore, with me, I'm just going to click cancel. It's fine. I'll just show that. But just be careful when you show this one. Sometimes it does get a little bit cluttered. That's the reason why I actually don't like doing this. My panel shop guys, they know how to actually handle the numbering. So I actually do not show this in my schematics. And then with the numbering of placement, there is something that I'm going to change right here. But before I change it, I'm actually going to leave it as the default. So you can see we're still currently looking at the default scheme. I'm going to leave it as default. I'm not going to change it right now, but I actually want to show you guys when I change it, what effect it will put in place. So therefore, I'm actually gonna leave this one right here. We are happy with the default scheme. Here, we're gonna change a lot of things. So we're gonna change a lot of things. Therefore, we need to create a new scheme. And after that, here as well, I'm gonna change just the horizontal and the vertical, and also I'm gonna change the font size. Changing the font size is just that those question marks or those numbers, changing the size of those numbers, and also changing the vertical and the horizontal is just changing the position at which they are with relations to this symbol right here. So it's with relations to that symbol. So I'm going to change that. But I'm not going to change the default. So I'm going to make a copy of the default. So let's not change the default because the default one, maybe it might be the one that you use in the future as well. So therefore, let's make a copy. So now I'm going to make a copy. So to make a copy, you can just say we're copying the default one. So having the default one selected, we're copying the default one and we can just name it something else. So I'm gonna name it I'm not gonna name it underscore reach underscore robots. I'm just gonna name it You can name it whatever that you want to name it. You can also give it the description that you want to give. So I'm gonna give that description, which is the default scheme. So it's the default scheme, and therefore I'm gonna say okay to that. So you can see now the scheme, the new scheme that we are going to edit and do some changes to is the scheme that's called So now we go back to filter. Just like I said, with filter, we're not going to change anything with regards to filter. With placement, just like I said, I will change something after I've actually showed you guys how it looks like inside our schematics. And after that, we'll go to designation. So with designation, we're going to change a lot of things with regards to designation. So just bear with me. There are things that I'm going to change inside here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to double click on this one. And after that, you can see actually the default was using something that's called a counter. So it was counting from the first wire inside your project. It was counting up, counting up, counting up. That's why you see the numbers incrementing like that. So what I'm going to do is that I do not want to use the counter. So if ever you want to use the counter, you are more than welcome to use the counter, but I'm not going to use the counter. So therefore, I'm going to delete it right there. So now what I'm going to do is that these are the available format elements. So I'm going to grab some of the available format elements and then push them to this side. So this side is what we'll be looking at inside our schematics. So therefore, to push them to this side, we'll use this arrow. So you can see when I hover over the arrow, it says move to the right. So therefore, the first thing that I want to enter inside our schematic, I actually want to look at the DT of the source. So I want to look at the DT of the source. So therefore, I'll look at the data of the connected source function. So I'm going to click on that one and I'm going to click my arrow to go to the side. And now what I want to do is that I want to look at the DT of the device that it's actually coming from. So this wire that the panel guy will be holding, where does that wire come from? Not where it's going. So we're not looking at the target, we're looking at the source. So therefore, I'm actually going to look at the DT. So I need to look at the DT of where it's coming from. So I'll just scroll to the bottom and I'll actually select the DT prefix. So the DT prefix, so if, for example, if ever you have something that's called 250K5, so you're actually looking at the prefix, which is the 200. So if it's on page 200, it will be 200. If it's a contactor, it will be K. If it's a relay, not a contactor, it will be K. And if it's on column 5, it will be 5. So we actually want to look at the page 200. So that's the prefix, that's the page 200. So I'm going to select that one and I'm going to say okay. And after that, what I want to look at, I want to look at the K. Now, the K, it's the one that says it's the identifier. So basically, am I looking at the K? Am I looking at the Q? Am I looking at the F if it's a circuit breaker? So therefore, we're looking at those type of numbers, those type of identifiers. So I'm going to look at that and therefore I will enter that one as the identifier. So what's happening is that in EPLAN, you do have these ones as well. You do have these ones which are without the, you can say DT identifying. So sometimes there are situations whereby inside this schematic, there are situations whereby we did not give something a DT because it's on the same row. I did not give it a DT. So therefore, if ever you do select DT identifying, you are going to come into situations whereby you actually miss some information. So that's why I'm actually picking these ones, which is the DT counter, DT identifying, and after that, I'm going to select the DT prefix as well. So I'll select the DT identifying, and after that, I'll select the DT, which is the last one, which will be the DT counter. If I remember carefully, it's the DT It's a DT sub counter. No, DT prefix. Sorry, let me just check. We selected the prefix, we selected the identifier. We need to select the counter. Yeah, we need to select the counter. So I'm going to select the counter and I'm going to say okay to that. So you can see now we have the 200, which is the prefix, the 200. We have the identifier, which is the K. And after that, we have the counter, which is according to our column. So it's like number 5, number 6, or something like that. So therefore, we have that one. And after that, what I'm going to do is that I'm actually going to add a separator. So I'll add a separator. And the separator, what I want to do is that I'm actually going to have a separator, which is a bracket. So I'll have it as a other character and I'll have a bracket. So inside the brackets, what I'm going to do is that I'm actually going to have my connection point. So the connection point or the connection designation of the device, which is the source device or the target device, I'll have it inside the brackets. So I'll have it like that, and the separator, just move it to the bottom. I actually want to have it after the DT. So I'll have it the separator like that, and after that you can add the separator for this one as well. So that will be the close brackets. So I'll open brackets, close brackets, and therefore what I want to do is that the connection point designation, I actually want to have it in between the brackets. So after that, what I want to do is that I'm actually going to go on data of the connected source function. So I'll click on that one and I'll click on the arrow. And for this one, I'll just search it. I'll just search for designation. So you can just search for designation. And after that, what I'm going to do is that I'm actually going to scroll till I find function connection designation. So I'm going to scroll to there and I'll select the first one. So I'll select the first one like that and I'll say okay. So you can see now I have it inside the brackets. So I have it inside the separators and therefore we are done with the source. So now we need to move to the target. So we need to move to the target now. So between the source and the target, what I want to do, I want to add a separator. So I'm going to add a separator and I'll just add a dot. You can just add a hashtag, a star, a minus sign, a plus sign. You can add whatever that you want to add. I'll just add a character, which is just a dot. So I'll just add a dot like that. And after that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add now for the target. So for the target, we need to look at the data of the connected target function. So I'll add that one to my right. And now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to do the same as well. Go to the DT and I'll say DT. The first one will be the DT prefix. So I'll say DT prefix. I'll say okay to that. And I'll do the same as well. And I'll say DT identifier. So we can go to that one and say DT identifier. So let's see the DT identifier right there. And after that, we'll go to the next one. The next one will be the DT counter. So we'll go to the DT counter. So let's just scroll to the DT counter. And therefore, that's the DT counter like that. So now you will see it needs to be the DT prefix, identifier, and the counter. And therefore, we need to do the same as well with this one. We need to start with the prefix. So I'm going to just move it to the top. It will be the prefix, identifier, and the counter. And after that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to add a separator. So we'll add something similar to this one, open brackets, close brackets. So we'll add a separator. We'll select the separator there, push it to the side, and therefore open the bracket. Say okay. After that, go to the separator again and close brackets. So we'll close the brackets like that. So we open the brackets, close the brackets, but we need to have the data of the target function inside the brackets. So I'll select there where it says separator because it's going to add underneath whatever that you select. So if you select here, it's going to add underneath it. If you select here, it's going to add underneath it. If you select here, it's going to add underneath it. So I'm going to have it inside the brackets. So therefore, I'm going to select this one and we will go to the data of the connected target function. So I'm going to go to that one, push it to the right, and therefore, what do I want to add? I'm going to type it in. So for this one, I usually just type it in. So I'll type it in the weight designation, and after that, I'll just scroll to here and I'll select the first one. So I'll select the first one like that, and I'll say okay to that, and therefore you will see it goes underneath our brackets, so in between our brackets. So therefore you can see we have added a lot of things. We have added 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13. So there's 13 things that we have added. So therefore that's how I want to have it. For this section right here, I'll leave these ones without any check marks, so you are able to check some things if you do want to check some things right here, but I'm actually going to leave it unchecked. So I'm going to leave it unchecked. What happens is that usually whatever information that you have pushed out from here, it will actually be implemented on your interruption points, on your terminals, and also on your bundle connection designation points. So you can see, if ever you can be able to zoom in, you can see this one, it says 0 VDC. So it says 0 VDC because that's what I have named it. If ever you overwrite the interruption point designation, it will actually change that 0 VDC to something else with regards to whatever information that you have right here. So for this ones, do not overwrite if you do not want to overwrite. So if you do not want to overwrite, do not overwrite anything. And therefore we are done with this ones. And for this one right here, just leave it as individual connection. There are possibilities whereby you can say signal or state if ever you want to have it like that, with potential piping up to the actuator or the sensor with the net. But for this one, we'll just leave it as individual connection, and always make sure that with this one, you are actually underneath the general connection. This actually comes from here. So it comes from here for the general connection. There are possibilities whereby you can actually number only the PLC devices, or if ever you want to number only certain devices, you are able to number only specific devices. But in our situation, we'll say general connection, which will actually include all the general connections inside our project. So therefore, I'm going to say okay to that. And therefore, you can see now this is how it looks like. So with these ones right here, just leave them like that. Just leave them as no, no, no. So therefore, that's what we have. We have the one overwrite, we said no, overwrite, we said no, overwrite, we said no. So therefore, that's what you see right here. And next, what I want to do next is that I want to speak with regards to the last tab. So with regards to the last tab, which is display, I actually want to change this one to a 2. I'll change this one to a 2 as well. And this one, I'll change it to a 1. So I'm going to just make them a little bit smaller, make them come closer towards the symbol right here. So this is what I've done. And therefore, I'm happy with how it looks like. So this is how it looks like. And therefore, what we're going to do is that we're going to say, okay. And after that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to look at this one, the overwrite will say overwrite whatever that we already have. So we already have some things written inside our schematics. So you can see those numbers. So therefore, I'm going to overwrite that. And the one with the avoid identical designations, I'm just going to say none to that. And the one with the visibility, you just say do not modify. So there are other selections or other options that you can have. But for now, we're going to say do not modify. And therefore, you can see we'll say apply to the whole project. And also we have preview of results. Preview of results doesn't really affect anything. But if ever you do not want to preview the results, you are sure about what you're doing, you can just uncheck that one. But I'm just going to leave it checked like that so that I can see the results. So I'm going to say okay to that. And right now you can see now it actually has all this list of connections. And therefore, you can see this is how it looks like. So you can see if I make an example, let's see, maybe I'll look at one that actually is a good example to look at. So you can see this one. It actually says it comes from this DT. So it's a relay. So it comes from a relay, which is on page 251. It's on K6. So it's on column 6. And you can see it comes from number 11. So it comes from the connection point number 11 of that contactor or that relay, and then it's going, so we're separating it by that dot. So by that dot, we know that's just where it's going. So this is the target side, this is the source side, and therefore it's actually going to page 251 at Q6. So that's the contactor is Q6, and it's going to number 13 of that contactor. So it's going to the number 13 of that contactor. And sometimes you can see the other side of it, maybe it's going to the number 14 or something like that. So therefore, that's all that information that's appearing right there. So I'm going to say okay to that. And therefore, you will see now this is how it looks like. So you can see now it goes, or it comes from 500A3. So you can see there it says it comes from 500A3. It comes from the L plus, so it comes from the L plus, which is inside the brackets, and then we say that dot, and then we say where it is going. So it's going to 150 G1. So you can see it's actually going to this device, which is the black box, which is 150 G1. So you can see right there, it's going to 150 G1. And then it's going, if we look at this one, it's going to connection point number 3, which is inside the brackets. It's going to number 3. You can see these ones are going to number 4. These ones are going to number 5. So you can see what's happening is that EPLAN defines it because this is the first line. So it defines it that this is the wire, and it also defines it for this side, and it also defines it for the one that goes down. So sometimes that's the reason why it does become a little bit clutter. So you can see also with this one, we can see this one is still the same connection. Why are you naming it twice? So that's why I actually wanna show you something with regards to one of the tabs which I actually mentioned, which was tab number 3. So we're gonna look at something. So it was tab number 2, not tab number 3, but it was tab number 2. We're gonna actually look at something with regards to that. So if ever you are wanting to do it, you can actually do it like this, but it's actually gonna take you some time deleting these ones because it's actually representing the same thing. You can actually just do that, delete this one. You can see also with this one, you can delete them so that it looks like this, but it will actually take you a lot of time if ever you want to do it like that. You can see also with this one, it's still the same thing, Why are we showing it so many times? So if ever you want to actually show it just like this, you are able to do it as well. But what would happen is that you would actually need to delete the ones that are already inside your schematics. So maybe you might be thinking, I need to delete all of them one by one, page by page, delete them like that, also delete them like that. No, you don't need to delete them all like that. EPLAN has a function whereby you are able to delete all the connection point that exist inside your schematics or inside your project. So you can select your project like that, and after that go to there where it says enter designation. Just there's an arrow, and right there you can say delete designations. So you are deleting all the designations that exist inside your project. So apply to the entire project and therefore say okay to that. And now you can see it has deleted all of them. So now what we're going to do, we're going to go back there and again and select our project inside our page navigator. And after that, we'll actually say placed connection definition points. And now we are placing according to our arm. So that's the scheme that we have selected, and say apply to the entire project. But before you do that, what I want to do is that I actually want to change the arm scheme. So we need to change the arm scheme. So let's click on where it says enter designation, and then go to the 3 dots, and right here we will go to placement. So on placement, what I want to do is that I want to actually change it and not say on every individual section. So do not select that one, but let's select on once per connection. So just say once per connection. Therefore that's where I want to see it. I only want to see it once on a connection, and therefore that's the one we want to select. And after that we'll say okay to that. And now we have changed our scheme. You can see by that star right there that our scheme is not actually up to date. So therefore once you say okay, it will actually be up to date. So we'll say okay to that one. For this one, just say cancel to this one because it actually want to enter it into a schematic. Just say cancel to that. And after that, select your project again, go to place designation points, and say yes, that's the scheme. We know the scheme has been updated now for once per connection point. So therefore we're going to say okay to that, and therefore you will see the question marks coming up. So you can see now it only comes up once. It doesn't come up there again. It doesn't come up there again. It doesn't come up there again. It doesn't come up multiple times. It only comes up once per connection point. So now once we have done it like that, we are going to select our project again, and now we're going to say enter the designation. So now we're going to say overwrite the question marks so that you give us information that actually makes sense. Give us information with regards to the scheme that we have created. So those 13 points that we created, remember we created 13 points. If we go right here, we created these 13 points right here. So give us information with regards to those 13 points. So we're going to do that, apply to the entire project. I want to have the preview, say okay to that. That's the preview right there, say okay to that. And therefore now you can see it only appears once. So it only appears once. It doesn't appear multiple times. It only appears once. So therefore that's how it appears. So therefore that's how you can have it. But the reason why I didn't teach this is because sometimes it does get a little bit cluttered. So maybe when you come to this one, you can see it does become a little bit cluttered like that. So therefore it does become a little bit cluttered like that. So you are able to actually move them so that they are actually at different rows as well, so that they are at different heights and all that. You are able to say that maybe let's say this one, it's not at the length. You can see the length of it. If I just measure it, maybe you can see the length of it. It's maybe, let me just change my grid size to 1 millimeter. you can see maybe the length of it, it's 10 millimeters roughly. You can say that we only want to have it maybe up to here. So maybe you want to have it only at 6 millimeters, and after that start on a new line. So therefore it will start on a new line, basically based on what you represent. But that's it. That's what the student wants to see. That's what the student can do. You can actually do a lot of things with regards to this. You can actually have it quite different. You can have it with regards to the page, not with regards to the device where it's going to, but you can have it with regards to the page. So therefore you can see it's coming from 100, which is 100 F8, and it's coming from the connection point, which is number 8. So therefore you can have it like that. And once you are done with this, you are able also to export it. You are able to export it towards the panel guys, so that the panel guys are able to actually print out this using the Phoenix machine or whatever machine that they use. Maybe they're using the Wego printer, so they are able to print out. So you are able to export them if you do want to export them. But that's how you can actually have them inside your schematics. So therefore, that's how you can actually see it inside my schematics as well. So therefore, you are able to change it based on what you want and based on your preference. So that's all the student had to do. So thanks very much for watching this video. If ever you have more questions, just hit me up in the comment section, and therefore I'll see you guys in the next question, which is the next video. So thanks very much.